छालं ते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओं तत्सत्. Right. So today's chapter is, sloka is, it is from Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, verse number 34. The topic is the glorious death or death. Okay. मृत्यु सर्वहराश्चाहम् उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक् च नारीणाम् स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा. So, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Now we read only translation. I'm all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, right, Prabhu, thank you. Okay, right. So why actually we all fear of death? Bayam dvitiya bhiniveshita syat. Why? Because fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. And when the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his own worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. So, actually, there is a one proverb in being according to Bengali. Whenever spiritual progress one makes in life will be tested at the time of death. In Bhagavad Gita also says in 8.6 also confirmed yam yam vapi smaran bhavan tyajate ante kalevaram tam tam ye vaiti kaunteya sada tad bhavitaha. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness know that their examination will be held at the time of death. If one can remember Krishna at death, he is immediately transferred to Goloka Vrindavan. So here, actually, Krishna is saying that I am all devouring death in this shloka. And I am the generating principle for all this, all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. Actually, as soon as man is born, he dies at every moment. That death is devouring every living entity at every moment. Is there any guarantee that nobody leaves body? Even Lord Brahma, he says, at the end of Dviprarabdha, when the fast times of Lord comes to an end, Lord Vishnu, by a flick of his eyebrows, vanquishes the entire universe, including our places of residence. Such personalities as Brahma is saying, as me and Lord Shiva, as well as Daksha, Bhrigu, and similar great saints of which they are the head and also the rulers of the living entities, the rulers of human society and the rulers of the demigods, all of us surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, bowing our heads to carry out his orders for the benefit of all living entities. And yesterday we were discussing, it was a Telugu class. So why actually we have this bewilderment? Because we don't surrender to Krishna. We identify our misidentify ourselves. We are the we are this body. Where it starts everything because of false ego. Because of false ego. So how we will avoid that? The living entity fear of death is due to his false ego of identifying with the body. And everyone is afraid of death. Actually, there is no death for the spirit soul. But due to our absorption in the identification of the body as self, the fear of death develops. That's what, Bayam Dvitiya Aviniveshataha Syat. Dvitiya refers to matter. We have to understand, which is beyond spirit. Matter is the secondary manifestation of spirit, for matter is produced from spirit, just as the material elements described or caused by the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Spirit. The body is also product of the spirit soul. Therefore, the material body is called Dvitiya or the second. One who is absorbed in this second element or second exhibition of the spirit is afraid of death. So when one is full convinced, convinced that he is not his body, there is no question of fearing of death, right? Since the spirit soul does not die. So that's what, second chapter Bhagavad Gita says what? Fear, for the soul there is neither birth, najayate mrite va kadachin. At any time, he has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing primal. He is not slain when the body is slain. And again it says, right, that the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. That's what, right? So, nainam chindanti sastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, ma chainam क्लेद्यन्ते आपो न शोष्यति marutaha. So actually this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. Is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. So that's what it is said in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself is saying that Krishna is telling for us, he's giving us knowledge. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. However, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever. You still have no reason to lament. Okay? And the one who has taken his birth is sure to die. And after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in this unavoidable discharge of your body duty, you should not lament. So, actually, the death, and if one can remember Krishna at death, he is immediately transferred to Goloka, Vrindavan or Krishna Loka. And thus his life becomes successful. So Pruthumara says, by the grace of Krishna, could understand that the end of his life was near, and thus he became very jubilant and proceeded to completely give up his body on the Brahma Bhuta stage. By practicing the yogic process, it is thoroughly described in the, like, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So how one can voluntarily give up this body and return home back to Godhead? The yogic process practiced by Prithu Maharaj, okay, at the time of death accelerates. The giving up this body while one is in sound health physically and mentally. Every devotee desires to give up the body while it is sound physically, mentally. This desire was also expressed by Kulashekara, king, in proper. I hope you have read Mukundamala Stotra. If you read Mukundamala Stotra, and every, stotra actually signifies the importance of this Krishna consciousness, how important it is. And Kulashekara Alvar, I mean, he has composed it. And Kulashekara wanted to give up his body while in a healthy state. Okay. But he thus prayed to Krishna to let him die immediately while he was in good health and while his mind was sound. When a man dies, he is generally overpowered by mucus and bile, and thus he chokes since it is very difficult to vibrate any sound while choking. It is simply by Krishna's grace that one can chant Hare Krishna at the time of death. So, actually, we all seen, right, and Mahabharata, um, in Yuddha, that's war scene, Kurukshetra. So everybody is dying. Everybody is dying. They are getting fear. They want to save themselves from, like, Kauravas especially. But Pandavas, they were not, because they are fully absorbed in Krishna. So, but they are fighting because Krishna has told, no, you have to fight. Then, when Bhishma is on deathbed, is the only one person. He is not fear of death. He was very happy. He was, chanting, and he was expecting to when to leave. Is like, he's a perfect example actually. So Bhishma Dev, so he knows that. So dying in the hands of Krishna is the glorious death. So we also should feel that. So though we are not, we will not be killed by Krishna, but when there is no guarantee, we will leave this body when we are in a full consciousness. So to make it is guarantee, you practice Krishna consciousness. Here, Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is very important. So when we focus in Krishna consciousness, and definitely we observe in Krishna, so then we know the difference between body and soul. There is no fear of death. Then definitely, so while living body, we don't remember. Actually, we are, so we know the, because we have the consciousness. Definitely, we know that we are this body. We are not, like, we are not experiencing actually that we are soul. So when we started experiencing we are this, we are soul, we are not this body. The moment when we start this, so automatically when death comes also, we know that our destination is Goloka. So we don't, because we know, okay, see, there will be pain of living body, but consequences of living body we don't experience because we chant or we remember Krishna. If we don't remember, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Okay, whoever remembers him while living body, they will. If we remember demigods, then we go to demigods. We remember Pitrus, we go to Pitrus. Okay. Uh, and so, but since it is very difficult to vibrate any sound while choking, it is simply by Krishna's grace that one can chant Hare Krishna at the time of death. However, by situating oneself in the mm, Muktasana position, like a yogi can immediately give up his body and go to whatever planet he desires. A perfect yogi can give up his body whenever he desires through the practice of yoga. So we are not practicing any yoga. So I mean, if you practice yoga, so we cannot achieve that stage because of conditioned life. And in Kali Yuga, it is not easy to practice especially yoga process, like doing different asanas, this and all. So the only one thing, so we have the grace of Krishna under guidance of bona fide spiritual master. So we can practice this bhakti yoga. By practicing bhakti yoga, it is the topmost yoga. By practicing this yoga, so we will understand the difference between body and soul. So at the last stage of life, the different gates of the body are choked by the effects of disease, which are caused by an imbalances of bile, again, like mucus and the air. So thus the living entity cannot clearly express its difficulties and surrounding relatives. So they shout this, oh, he's dying, dying. So that's why, definitely we must have practiced, in our community also, because we are in devotional service and practicing sadhana bhakti. So we know when elderly man or a person, diseased person, or anyone is living body. So we know that. Then we go to wherever they're residing particular place. Then we go and chant Hare Krishna and we encourage him to remember Krishna. So if the person is in coma, okay, he doesn't remember Krishna. So what happens? So but by we chanting, so the soul hears that's what a living entity too much absorbed in material activity becomes very much attracted to the material body. Even at the point of death, he thinks of his present body and the relatives connected to it. Okay. Thus he remains fully absorbed the bodily conception of life so much so that even at the point of death, he abhors living his present body. Sometimes it is found that a person on the verge of death remains in a coma for many days before giving up the body. This is common among so-called leaders and politicians, okay, who think that without their presence, the entire country and all society will be in chaos. This is called Maya. So political leaders do not like to leave their political posts, and they either have to be shot by an enemy or obliged to live by the arrival of death. By superior arrangement, a living entity is observed another body, but because of his attraction to the present body, he does not like to transfer himself to another body. Thus, he is forced to accept another body by the laws of nature. So, material nature is very strong and the material modes force one to accept another body. If we are not, that's what Prakriti, right? So, 13th chapter, it says, um, 22nd verse, it says that yesterday I was reading that one only. So, till nature is very, um, tricky that it binds every living entity. But if a conscious person, when he realizes is not this body, is the soul, then transmigration starts. That's what. This force is invisible when the living entity transmigrates from a superior body to an inferior one. One who acts like a dog or hog in present body will certainly be forced to accept the body of a dog or hog in the next life. Somehow the yesterday's verse and this verse similar. I'm actually, so when I'm telling that yesterday's, I can relate and it is coming automatically. So a person may be enjoying the body of prime minister or president. mm, When he understands that he will be forced to accept the body. I was referring to yesterday's one. Like Prabhupada was, I took from different quotes of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was telling how a person we observe into this material life, then we actually we don't practice in this life Krishna consciousness, then if it is not Krishna consciousness, that means we are practicing for next life to become hog or dog. So do we want in same to be in that situation? No. We are here, we have taken shelter of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and the bona fide spiritual master. Okay. So when we have taken a shelter of bona fide spiritual master, he transfers us knowledge. He gives us shelter to go back home, back to Godhead. He shows us the path. That's what, प्रकृति क्रिया ना यश्येहे कुताशित कर्षित प्रभो सयेष भगवान काला सर्वेशम न समागतान समागतः sorry no not now. So the frightful situation cannot be reminded by any person in this material world. So my Lord, it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as eternal time, Kala, that has approached us all. So, this is no superior power which can check the cruel hands of death. No one wants to die. Okay. However, acute the source of bodily sufferings may be even in the days of so-called scientific advancement of knowledge. There is no remedial measure either for old age or for death. Old age is the notice of the arrival of death. Okay. Served by cruel time. And no one can refuse to accept either summon calls or the supreme judgment of eternal time. This is explained in Dhritarashtra. Before Dhritarashtra, it says in Bhagavatam, right? Because he is asking to Vidura to find out some remedial measure for the imminent fearful situation. Who is Vidura? His incarnation of Yamaraj, right? As he had ordered many times before, and before ordering, however, Vidura informed to Dhritarashtra that there was no remedial measure by anyone or from any source in this material world. And because there is no such thing in the material world, death is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why then he himself, says that what he says, मृत्यु सर्वहरश्चाहम उद्भवश्चा भविष्यताम कीर्तिश्रीर्वाक् चा नारीनम कृत is saying that, right? Like fame, opulence of beauty, and anything cannot save you. Actually, death cannot be checked by anyone or from any source within this material world. Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal and underwent a severe type of penance by which the whole universe trembled. And Brahma himself approached him to dissuade Hiranyakashipu from such a severe type of penance. Hiranyakashipu asked Brahma to award him the blessings of immortality. But Brahma said that he himself was subject to death. So, but he did not accept that. Oh, no, 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 you're not. You just telling that. Then he was, see, Brahma himself having a death, then he is expecting, presenting like, immortality. So that's like, we observed such a fools, we observed such a way that we are in a bodily concept. Okay, I do some penances. I'll like, sometimes like, we often hear, in initial days of bhakti, we, after we practicing some few months or something, then we feel that, okay, I am become now full aware of Krishna consciousness. I'm advanced. Now I'm ready. I'm okay. I'm not worried about death. Okay. I'm not worried of death. Then by chance, while going, he slips. He slips. Then something of some ligament has have experienced some bit crack. Then it pains. Then he remembers. Whom he remembers? First, immediately, we remember mother. Amma, no Krishna. So, the person who is claiming himself after practicing months or hardly 6 months or more than that, or lesser than 1 year, he thinks that he have achieved full Krishna Bhakti and he is ready for death. But the moment, not even a 6 months, even sometimes, I do I do remember my mother only, not Krishna. So what to talk about? I mean, remembering Krishna. Because we are bound to identify ourselves. Okay. So the topmost planet. So however, who is in this, this material universe is Brahmaloka. So he himself doesn't have immortality. He has to die. So how could he award him to be benediction of immortality to Hiranyakashipu? So there is a death even the topmost planet of this universe. And what to speak of other planets which are far, far inferior in the quality of Brahmaloka? The residing planet of Brahma, wherever there is the influence of eternal time, there is this set of regulations, namely birth, disease, old age, death, and all of them are invincible. Okay, so that's why Prithu Maharaj we already discussed, right? Um, at this time, Prithu Maharaj became exactly like Amaraj, and his whole body appeared very angry. In other words, he was anger personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered and with folded hands began to speak as follows. Why? Because she was not ready to produce grains. She was running. And he got really heavy. No, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is death personified to miscreants and the Supreme Beloved Lord to the devotees. So Lord says that Mrityu Sarva Harasyaham. So I am devouring all devouring death. Faithless unbelievers who challenges the appearance of God will be delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he appears before them as death. So that's what Hiranyakashipu challenged the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Lord made him in the form of Nrsimhadev, fearful, and killed him. Just fraction of seconds. All his pride gone in a fear of death. So similarly, the planet Earth saw Maharaj Prutu as a death personified, and she also saw him in the mood of anger personified. Therefore, she began to tremble. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In any circumstances, it better to surrender unto him and take his protection at all times. We should take protection. Okay. So that's why Sai Shalokan Atichanda Vego Vikarsashi Tvam Kalo Kala Yanaha Bhutani Bhutair Anumepya Tatvo Ganan Valir Vair Ivavasyaha. So, see, we say like, no, oh my Lord, your absolute authority cannot be directly experienced, but one can guess by seeing the activities of the world that everything is being destroyed in due course of time. We should realize that the force of time is very strong and everything is being destroyed by something else. Just as one animal is being eaten by another animal, time scatters everything exactly as the wind scatters clouds in the sky. You know, in monsoon's time, especially, um, farmers, when the monsoon starts and the cloud forms, is very happy. Okay, but he would expect that there will be no wind. Okay, there will be no wind. So wind along with rain, that is good, fine. So when wind starts coming, so all his happiness scatters. He feels, oh my Lord, because if anyone are from, like, agriculture background, you know this, because I'm from village. Okay, we have land. So this all we grown up, like, by learning all these techniques, like these all, like, when wind comes, and sometimes we doesn't want rain is coming, and when wind is coming, and people, like, our elders and all, they say that it's okay, no worry, wind is coming, there will be no rain, because when clouds are fully forming, then before clouds forming, only wind is, like, wind is forming, wind is there so much, and clouds also forming, then certain time there will be no rain actually. So the process of destruction is going to according to the laws of nature. So, and in a particular time actually we want rain, but because we already plow the land, we want to, like, plant the seeds. If there is no rain, then it goes like, if that particular, when clouds are forms, the rain doesn't come, then it goes 1 week to 2 weeks. That 2 weeks time period is very crucial. The 2 weeks again cloud has to form, and it become, like, windy again, it goes to 2 weeks. Like, how, like, we get fear when we don't have grains, and whole year we have to suffer that, then that carry for us next year also. So nothing in this material world can be permanent, or happiness or distress, like especially we experience most of the time distress. So I mean to say this is, so actually Scientists, philosophers, workers, and everyone are trying to make things permanent. Okay, one foolish scientist, declares that eventually life will be made permanent through science. They are saying that, okay, recently I saw Chinese, they created even artificial heart. So they implanted to robo. It acts like human. But how you will in inbuilt and inject soul and super soul? Okay, how? A simple logic, I'm not a scientist, I'm a simple boy. I know what is reality, how this body is run by soul and super soul. If even super soul is not there, this body cannot go ahead. And these basic principles, they are not aware of it. And we are trying to create so many artificial things, so called, and we feel that manufacturing event is within the laboratory, it's a high, it's a advancement. Thus, in one way or another way, everyone is busy denying the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and rejecting the supreme authority of the Lord. However, the Lord is so powerful that it destroys everything in the form of death. Kala. Aham kalosmi, Krishna says. Bhagavad Gita Mrityu Sarvaharashchaham. He's saying that I'm all devouring death. The Lord is just like death to atheist, but he takes away everything they accumulate in this material world. So that's what Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. One animal is food for another animal. Okay. A frog is eaten by snake, and snake is eaten by mongoose, and mongoose is eaten by another animal. In this way, the process of destruction goes on by the supreme will of the Lord. Although we do not see the hand of the Supreme Lord directly, we can feel the presence of that hand through the Lord's process of destruction. We can see the clouds scattered by the wind, okay? Although we cannot see how it is being done because it is not possible to see the wind. But we can see when clouds are scattering. But how it is scattering? We can feel the wind, but we cannot see the wind. Similarly, although we do not directly see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can see that He controls the process of destruction. The destructive process is going on firstly under the control of the Lord. But the atheist cannot see it. So we should surrender to Krishna, then practice Krishna consciousness, bhakti. Okay. So okay, it's there are so-called investment counselors who are expert in stealing the money of rich people, and in the modern age, governments have also become expert in stealing money by taxation. So thus the word that's what Prabhupada says, Arthavet indicates one who by crook or by crook is expert in stealing the heart and wealth of other people. The bees work frantically to produce honey, but they will not enjoy their honey. Who enjoys? We. We kill them. We steal their honey. That's why Krishna says, Mrityu Sarvaharas Chaham. I will come as death, personified, and steal everything. So somehow or other, one's hard earned material opulence will be stolen. And therefore, as mentioned, that what is that? Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham. One should not work uselessly like the foolish honeybee. Sorry, I shouldn't. Because it may give sweetness, but it goes and plucks from the every flower. So finally we kill that and we enjoy that. So if the spirit soul engages in the spiritual activities of devotional service, he is completely free from the platform of birth and death. His next position is complete spiritual freedom from a material body. The fear of death is the action of the kala. We have to understand. Or the time factor, which represents influence of the supreme personality of Godhead. In other words, then time is destructive. Whatever is created is subject to destruction and dissolution, which is the action of time. So time is representation of the Lord, and it reminds us also what we must surrender. We must surrender unto the Lord. The Lord speaks to everyone and every conditioned soul as a time. He says in Bhagavad Gita that if someone surrenders unto him, then there is no longer any problem of birth and death. We should therefore accept the time factor as the Supreme Personality of Godhead standing before us. Thus, this person, we have to practice Krishna consciousness. So, we should balance both our material life and spiritual life and become devoted to Krishna and give all our material opulences and satisfying and serving Krishna, and we get free from this false, bodily identification, ego. So then we become devotee of Lord. We can go back home, back to Godhead at the time of, like, after death. At the time of death, we remember in Krishna, and after death, we go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Comments and questions, anything, please let me know. My dear
Hare
devotees,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
No comments, Prabhuji. Insightful lecture, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much. Okay, Vanchakalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nanta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki
Chai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.